because the reason why they're using the RICO is because the RICO allows them to bring in all these other cases in that might have been kind of fallen by the wayside due to statute of limitations. RICO allows them to bring it back in. It's kind of like the glue that holds everything together, if that makes sense. Because the reason why they're using the RICO is because the RICO allows them to bring in all these other cases in that might have been kind of fallen by the wayside due to statute of limitations. RICO allows them to bring it back in. It's kind of like the glue that holds everything together, if that makes sense. Because the reason why they're using the RICO is because the RICO allows them to bring in all these other cases in that might have been kind of fallen by the wayside due to statute of limitations. RICO allows them to bring it back in. It's kind of like the glue that holds everything together, if that makes sense.
Yo, we got statute of limitations on the hotel, right?
Well, for assault. Just for assault.
Yeah, we got statute of limitations on that.
Hold on.
Right?
And also, here's the thing with a RICO case, right? Because, that's what Bradford Cohen was saying.
I don't think, is this a RICO?
Yes, it's a RICO. They said, put it like this. If they have you on tape selling drugs in, say the 80s, you were selling drugs in the 80s. The statute of limitations is past that. But if you kept selling drugs from the 80s up till 5 years ago, the statute of limitations usually is around like 5 years or so, right? If it was continued, so in a RICO, they usually prove is continued. So it started before the statute of limitations and continued up onto the point where statute of limitations exists. So yeah, that assault from 2016 would not be able to count. But if say that they could prove that it was a pattern of consistent abuse, physical abuse, they could use that.
Yo, we got statute of limitations on the hotel, right?
Well, for assault. Just for assault.
Yeah, we got statute of limitations on that.
Hold on.
Right?
And also, here's the thing with a RICO case, right? Because, that's what Bradford Cohen was saying.
I don't think, is this a RICO?
Yes, it's a RICO. They said, put it like this. If they have you on tape selling drugs in, say the 80s, you were selling drugs in the 80s. The statute of limitations is past that. But if you kept selling drugs from the 80s up till 5 years ago, the statute of limitations usually is around like 5 years or so, right? If it was continued, so in a RICO, they usually prove is continued. So it started before the statute of limitations and continued up onto the point where statute of limitations exists. So yeah, that assault from 2016 would not be able to count. But if say that they could prove that it was a pattern of consistent abuse, physical abuse, they could use that. Yo,
we got statute of limitations on the hotel, right?
Well, for assault. Just for assault.
Yeah, we got statute of limitations on that.
Hold on.
Right?
And also, here's the thing with a RICO case, right? Because, that's what Bradford Cohen was saying.
I don't think, is this a RICO?
Yes, it's a RICO. They said, put it like this. If they have you on tape selling drugs in, say the 80s, you were selling drugs in the 80s. The statute of limitations is past that. But if you kept selling drugs from the 80s up till 5 years ago, the statute of limitations usually is around like 5 years or so, right? If it was continued, so in a RICO, they usually prove is continued. So it started before the statute of limitations and continued up onto the point where statute of limitations exists. So yeah, that assault from 2016 would not be able to count. But if say that they could prove that it was a pattern of consistent abuse, physical abuse, they could use that. Yo,
we got statute of limitations on the hotel, right?
Well, for assault. Just for assault.
Yeah, we got statute of limitations on that.
Hold on.
Right?
And also, here's the thing with a RICO case, right? Because, that's what Bradford Cohen was saying.
I don't think, is this a RICO?
Yes, it's a RICO. They said, put it like this. If they have you on tape selling drugs in, say the 80s, you were selling drugs in the 80s. The statute of limitations is past that. But if you kept selling drugs from the 80s up till 5 years ago, the statute of limitations usually is around like 5 years or so, right? If it was continued, so in a RICO, they usually prove is continued. So it started before the statute of limitations and continued up onto the point where statute of limitations exists. So yeah, that assault from 2016 would not be able to count. But if say that they could prove that it was a pattern of consistent abuse, physical abuse, they could use that. Yo,
we got statute of limitations on the hotel, right?
Well, for assault, just for assault.
Yeah, we got statute of limitations on that.
Hold on,
right?
And also, here's the thing with a RICO case, right? Because that's what Bradford Cohen was saying.
I don't think is this a RICO?
Yes, it's a RICO. They said, put it like this: if they have you on tape selling drugs in, say the 80s, you were selling drugs in the 80s. The statute of limitations is past that. But if you kept selling drugs from the 80s up till 5 years ago, the statute of limitations usually is around like 5 years or so, right? If it was continued, so in a RICO they usually prove is continued. So it started before the statute of limitations and continued up onto the point where statute of limitations exist.
All right.
Abuse.
So I want to revisit a interview that most of us heard ourselves, or at least heard about. Dame Dash interview on the Breakfast Club. Very controversial. Played a lot. Referenced a lot. Dig. But what I noticed in the Black community is that we are targeted with misinformation, probably up and above most people in America. So sometimes it be with the right heart, right mind, but just but in days it's misinformation. And misinformation is misinformation. Doesn't matter if you meant to do well. It's still misinformation. So this boss talk that Dame Dash was pushing on the Breakfast Club, and this was mirrored by a lot of scammers. Allegedly, Brother Polite, allegedly Jay Morrison. A lot of alleged scammers start to repeat this boss talk, and the boss talk was against like the working industry, and also the boss talk extended to be against college, right? And to a large degree, the high school education system. So it extended to all those things. Like, not only are we questioning the work field, the work industry, 9-to-5 work, what they call it, but then they started to question college, and they went to question like high school degrees, diplomas. So, but it seemed to stem from the boss talk that Dame Dash pushed or the Breakfast Club. And the clips I play, you're going to see that his boss definition is vague and don't really mean much. And the way he uses it, he uses it almost like some blackologists will use kings and queens. Like just every African descendant was a king. It's like, okay, if we're all kings, who are our servants? So that's how loose Dame Dash, you'll see, use the word boss. And again, like, he'll paint it on everybody can be a boss. And then the words of Kevin Samuel, we the boss up. All right. Hey, peace, Donnie. Love, Joy. Haskell recently? I don't know. I don't know about Haskell recently, but it should. I mean, he really shouldn't have much to say, because sometimes I could be wrong in a conversation, and sometimes I can like do too much. I'll say most of the situations, I'll own up to it. So yeah, I went too far. But the last time me and Haskell talked, the last time me and Stu P's talked, it was their fault. And we did. I didn't even end the conversation like upset, curse nobody out. They pretty much left like that. And y'all know, like, y'all should know, when I'm wrong, it's usually clear, because I'm the one cussing, calling names, but you can see my last two conversations with those guys, I was very poised and I was a cooler head. And so no. So if he's mad at me, it should not be from the last conversation where he was gaslighting. And same thing as Stu Pease. If they're mad at me, it should not be from our last conversation, because that's when they were finally wrong. And also, I've been on live saying with those two and other guys, girls, when I'm wrong, I will come back and admit, hey, I'm wrong. I've never heard Haskell admit he was wrong. Stu Pease either. So only one of us got the history of publicly being wrong and publicly admitting that I was wrong. Okay, so they don't have the history, and like that action, or that lack thereof action, seems to be a problem with people. And I'm telling you, when people can't apologize, when people can't admit when they're clearly wrong, like, it's usually just them. That's just who they are. So anyway, Dame Dash is one of those folks that can't admit when he's wrong. All right, Mika, how you doing? Okay, so let me go ahead and let me give you some memory of Dame Dash. So Dame Dash, no, I'm just gonna play it. So I'm gonna take you back to the Breakfast Club. I think my screen's still sharing. Okay.
All of the money from the auction will go to money that is owed by Dame Dash.
This is new, obviously. You don't see Angela Yee, but so she just going over the third Rockefeller that Dame Dash owes, and the auction, like when he auctioned it, where the money is going to go before it gets to his hands.
Dame Dash to several different entities. There is $8.7 million in unpaid taxes. There is $832,000 that he owes to a guy named Josh Weber. That's the guy that he was going back and forth with in court over the Dear Frank movie. There is $145,000 in unpaid child support between two women that he has kids with. Basically, what is going to happen is at some point, once the auction and everything is done, child support is going to come in and take their money first. Dame Dash owes a total of $145,096 in unpaid child support.
So that's going to come back to bite him. So you keep in mind, she said he owed $100,000, a little over $100,000 back child support. Just keep in mind the number, $100,000.
Child support is going to come in.
Yeah, but I got nothing to say bad about Haskell. Because I didn't leave on a bad note. For me to say something bad about you, I gotta at least be mad at you.
They get their money first. Take their money first. Dame Dash owes a total of $145,096 in unpaid child support. Yes. So then after that, the money's going to filter to everybody else. And again, he's looking at. They're saying like he could receive money from whatever is left. I don't know what's going to be left. I guess it all depends on what the auction goes for.
The thing is, they gotta understand what the value of is it. I don't know, but you gotta figure.
All of the money from the auction will go to money that is owed by Dame Dash to several different entities. There is $8.7 million in unpaid taxes.
All right, now this lady right here, she's been like reporting, and she's been really annoying to me. Like, listen, read this information correctly, or get a new woman. And then she been doing this every show. She reading information, news, whatever, and she just fumbles and stumbles. Is she reading too fast? Is she nervous? I don't know, but that is really annoying to the viewers. Like, just read it correctly the first time. But she been doing this a lot. She just she gonna box this all up.
There is $832,000 that he owes to a guy named Josh Weber. That's the guy that he was going back and forth with in court over the Dear Frank movie. There is $145,000 in unpaid child support between two women that he has kids with. Basically, what is going to happen is at some point, once the auction and everything is done, child support is going to come in and take their money first. Dame Dash owes a total of $145,096 in unpaid child support. Yes. So then after that, the money's going to filter to everybody else. And again, he's looking at. They're saying like he could receive money from whatever is left. I don't know what's going to be left. I guess it all depends on what the auction goes for.
So that's just the details of the auction that he set out to do. That's all. Just catching you up at the end, right? Because he owes $8.7 million in back taxes. He got sued for the movie. She said Josh Weber. Keep that name, Josh Weber. Okay, so Josh Weber sued him for $830,000, some $846, whatever. $800,000, all right? He got sued for, and $145,000 in child support. Okay? So now let's move on to the boss talk. Well, let's move backwards to the boss talk, because I'm telling you, entrepreneurism is a great thing for those that can do it, but it's not for everybody. And when he pitched it like it's for everybody, that's dangerous. That's misinformation. It's almost like, you remember the multi-level marketing schemes where they act like, or I say scams, because it's not really a scam technically, but it becomes a scam when you pretend everybody can do it and everybody can make all this money. That's when it becomes a scam, because everybody's not a salesman, saleswoman. So that's the scam right there. When you pretend everybody can sell this product, just because a product is good doesn't mean, like, for example, Verizon phone store. At some point, you got to try to sell, the phone sell themselves, but at some point, you got to try to sell a package, right? They call it a phone plan. The phone plan doesn't sell themselves. You got to sell that. Everybody not a good salesperson. Some people going to get fired. Okay, so this is, I didn't know Charlamagne and Raekwon was in business together in Newark.
You can spend $100,000 and not get your license.
That's right.
Right. Yes,
So-
I know.
So they're talking about
I just
license
want-
for like a marijuana dispensary, a weed dispensary. Now that's kind of crazy. You could spend $100,000 on a licensing application, whatever, and don't get it, and the money's just gone. Like, that's wild.
Y'all know we got a dispensary opening up in Newark, New Jersey.
Guarantee that you can spend $100,000 and not get your license.
That's right.
Right. Yes,
So-
I know.
I just want y'all to know we got a dispensary opening up in Newark, New Jersey. It's called Hashtoria, 799 Broad Street. You know what I mean? Salute to the good
Yeah,
brother.
and
Raekwon,
Donnie,
chef. Salute
I'm
to
gonna go over how you end up on that $8.7 million, and it's really gonna be him. Great research is putting the pieces together in the puzzle. So when Dame Dash talks, he talks so much. You know how they say, when you talk so much, you're telling yourself. So he gives so many interviews, but he doesn't tell a lot about himself in one interview. You really got to watch a lot of his interviews, and you can start piecing it together. Like, you're gonna see what I do, and then he ends up telling the story without wanting to tell the story.
Bakari Sellers, my man, dispensary opening up in Newark, New Jersey.
Guarantee that you can spend $100,000 and not get your license.
That's right.
Right. Yes,
So-
I know.
I just want y'all to know we got a dispensary opening up in Newark, New Jersey. It's called Hashtoria, 799 Broad Street. You know what I mean? Salute to the good brother Raekwon, the chef. Salute to Bakari Sellers, my man Jed, my man Josh. We'll be open this year.
There you go.
Shout out the Bricks. I got family out there. What's up? All right.
Well, that is
So
front
I was
page news. Thank you, Morgan. You can
All
spend
right,
$100,000.
So I'm just giving some information that you guys might not know. I didn't know that Charlamagne and Raekwon Chef and some other guys had a weed dispensary open up in Newark. I'm actually in Newark right now. I was downtown, so I don't know if it's open just yet. I don't know. I didn't walk down Broad Street. He said Broad Street. I walked across Broad Street. I went to Starbucks. That's on Broad Street, but I'm guessing his weed dispensary would be on Broad Street towards North Newark, where I think there's less crime. I don't know if you're gonna have it towards, like, going towards the highways where you Route 1, 70, Highway 78. I don't know if you're gonna have it that way, because that's where the crime and the crackheads be. So I think it's gonna be towards the north, the business, where the business is all at, the clean ones, not the sneaker stores. All right, so yeah, it's crazy. On one block, I counted downtown Newark. I counted 5 sneaker stores in like one block. On one block, 5 different sneaker stores. It's wild. All right, so anyway, so now this is Dame Dash. He's on Vlad TV. This is, I believe this is after the Breakfast Club.
What was your first entrepreneurial job?
I mean, again, I don't advocate
Well,
it.
I don't know if this is before or after, but it's definitely the same year of the Breakfast Club interview.
But it is what it is. But it was crack. I sold crack.
Did you ever
All
get
right. So there are certain red flags that we need to stay away from. Okay, that's anybody. That's anybody who don't want to be scammed. When people openly tell you, without shame, openly tell you that they're a high school dropout, i.e., Brother Polite. When people tell you that they're an ex, well, not even ex, that they're a felon, Gorilla Hebrew. When people tell you that, what else they say? that did time in prison. Again, without any shame. Like, why do we act like these are the people that we should be seeking advice from? Like, we actually go to those people. Yeah, these guys thorough. That's why every rapper tell you, you don't know nothing. You ain't been through nothing because you ain't do time. You ain't do prison time. So nobody been through anything if they didn't do prison time. So like, that's what we got to do. That's just weird. But then when you read the new Jim Crow, and if you did prison time, you're a felon or ex-felon, and you are equivalent to a antebellum slave or post-antebellum antebellum slave. It's like, dude, I don't want to be an antebellum slave or equivalent to an antebellum slave. But so I got to, again, misinformation, bad direction, pushing us towards like a revolving failure door.
On the street level.
But so now he's bragging about, as you can see by the demeanor, like he's bragging about selling crack. Check it out.
You ever try to make it bigger than what it was?
Yeah, but you know, that's at that point you can't really be talking about it. You know what I'm saying? So having more money than people older than me made it where, you know, it made me kind of arrogant because they didn't have anything that I felt I didn't have, and I just felt they.
Keep in mind, his money comes from crack. So now he's comparing himself, again, he's a crack dealer. He's comparing himself to older people, 9 to 5 people, who he got more money than, he believes he got more money than, at least, you know, optically. Like he's looking at them, looking at himself, and feeling like he has more money than these people. I'm sure those 9 to 5 people were getting on him about being a crack dealer. So now you can kind of see where his hate for 9 to 5 work like stemmed from. Like, dude, you were a crack dealer. And I'm sure he's like my age. I'm sure he was a crack dealer at that age. I'm sure 9 to 5ers. This is when parents were actively in the community who would speak out against like bad kids. So I'm sure those parents told on him to his parents. I think he said his mom died at some point. So whoever was his caretaker, I'm sure those parents went to those caretakers and said, "Hey, your guy's selling crack," or they at least told authorities or somebody. Somebody told. This is where I believe his hate for 9 to 5 work is stemming from, his early childhood.
Living the square life, so I definitely think it gave, you know, it made me kind of arrogant because they didn't have anything that I felt I didn't have, and I just felt they were living the square life. So I definitely.
He's a crack dealer. They're not crack dealers, but they have the square life. Crack dealers don't have the square life.
I think it gave me a certain mentality, you know what I mean? And then also the concept of taking your money and reinvesting it, and then also having to pay people to help you sell it, and understanding that you always have to have a team. And that
he's talking about the crack game, by the way. So he's comparing his future entrepreneur endeavors to his old or past crack selling ways. So when he talked that boss talk and y'all bought into it, even I did, he didn't have you in mind like the legal, legit way, saving your own money and putting your own money up the legal way. He's putting up crack money, fast money, and even that is stupid because if you weigh the odds, the risk and rewards to crack money, dude, you're making potentially 10 grand, but what is the risk? If you're making 10 grand of crack money, then the risk is probably 20 years in prison. Like, is 10 grand worth 20 years of your life, your freedom? But that's not the square way. That's the cool way. So keep in mind, the guy who's giving you business advice, the guy who is influencing you to be a boss, is not going to be a boss like you. You're going to do it the right way. He's selling crack to become his boss, his own boss.
you have to lead by example. But the difference about crack is that there's violence involved. You know, if somebody doesn't pay you, even.
Now, how can any of us relate to him now? He's selling crack. He stored up crack money to become an entrepreneur. We got to work at a 9 to 5 job and save the money that way. Or maybe, inheritance or lawsuit, But anyway, those are the legal ways to do it. That takes a long time. But crack money, 10 grand in 4 days, a week.
At that level, you got to put your hands on them, or else you can't really do that game anymore. You know what I mean? Like, everyone's always watching. So there's also different stakes.
What was your first entrepreneurial job?
I mean, again, I don't advocate it, and but it is what it is. But it was crack. I sold crack.
There you go. So his entrepreneurism, be a boss, was selling crack. He was a boss of selling crack. That's why the video is called The Boss of Crack. All right, see, crack boss.
At what point did you start moving into the music game?
After, well, you saw Paid in Full, and that was a very personal experience for me, you know, and that scared me, that experience, because, you know, I saw it, and I saw a kid die that had nothing to do with what was going on, and it made me think that the game was disgusting and unfair, and I didn't want any parts of it, but I didn't want to have a 9-to-5 job, so I was trying to figure out how to.
You heard it. You're hearing it from the horse's mouth. He didn't want a 9-to-5 job. Like, he looked so down on the 9-to-5 job that he felt like selling crack was a level up. Like, he believes a 9-to-5 is so disgusting, so humiliating, so much to slave work that he deluded himself to believe selling crack was better.
Live like a hustler, but not all. I was young for what I had.
So, at what point did you start moving into the music game?
After, well, you saw Paid in Full, and that was a very personal experience for me, you know, and that scared me, that experience, because, you know, I saw it, and I saw a kid die that had nothing to do with what was going on, and it made me think that the game was disgusting and unfair, and I didn't want any parts of it, but I didn't want to have a 9-to-5 job, so I was trying to figure out how to live like a hustler, but not really be doing anything illegal. And I had went to a party with my cousin Darian, and he, you know, it was an industry party, and everyone was really pretending to be hustlers, but none of them really were hustling. And I was like, oh, I could do this all day. And I felt like this would be a good place to be able to kind of, you know, make money and not feel like I was a 9-to-5 square, you know?
At what point did you start?
So you guys hear it. A 9-to-5 square, but selling crack, killing your own people. That's not a square. Like, that's something to salute and be honorable. Like, that can make you honorable. And decimate our communities. We even say the government, you know, COINTEL, all this conspiracy theories that we do, but he's yet glorifying it. It's better than 9-to-5.
You talked about the entrepreneur mentality versus employee mentality. Explain that a little bit.
Okay, so now he's gonna give you the employee mentality versus entrepreneur. This is a guy who sells crack. I don't think any of you guys look at crack dealers as entrepreneurs.
It's just not having a boss, but it means you have to put up your own money, which to some people is unfathomable, which is unfathomable to me. You know, but that's only because probably I've had a certain way of living my whole life. Entrepreneur means you put up your own money, you buy some stuff and you sell it for probably double what you bought it.
He's back referencing crack. But this is the guy that we all paraded in Crown King. This is our king. He's bragging, he's giving us the crack game. And he's comparing that to an entrepreneur.
Or it could mean that you make money off somebody and you have a commission, but then it's going to mean someone's going to resent you, you know? But it's just being your own boss, really. And you know, being able to sacrifice what you call security.
So keep in mind, he's correlating being your own boss with selling crack. Like, that's how he became his own boss, because he sold crack.
For what some people call insecurity, putting your money where your mouth is, eating the food you kill, being a true wild animal. You know, I'm just not a tame beast. I just never had a leash on my neck. I never had anyone pull me in any direction that I don't feel like going.
And that's why you became a crack dealer. That's probably the reason why everybody became a crack dealer, because they didn't want to be told what to do. They wanted to be an untamed wild beast, and they wanted to live their own life. If you think about most people who sold crack, especially kids, like, they were the troubled kids who wouldn't listen to anybody, especially like the good advice from the older people. Say, hey, nah, you know what, there's a better way, or hey, man, work with me at the shop. They were stuck in this mold of the fast money.
I've never had to ask somebody when I could come in.
You talked about
all about he don't want to ask anybody. But when you get locked up, you got to ask the guard for things. Like, when can you make a phone call, or when the toilet's clogged, or you got to, hey, guard, you got to ask the guard stuff now. Well, it gets better. So he said you got to put your own money up, but his money came the fast way. It wasn't the way that we would do it. It was going to take probably working that job you don't want to work at. You know, you can't quit because you got this goal to stack a certain amount of money to get your side business going. Okay, it's going to take a year or more, or it never happens. But we all had a crack opportunity. I'm sure we could gain capital in a couple months, 10 grand, 20 grand, 30 grand. But what's the flip side? The flip side is the consequences. Getting caught.
I learned in my experience in the corporate world and with Rockefeller was, if I want to be truly happy, I got to put up the money, because whoever puts up the money is the boss.
Keep in mind, the own money is your crack money, because he never saved from a job, a 9-to-5 job. He told him his first entrepreneur experience was selling crack. So his own money he keep talking about and bragging about came from the fast life, came from the legal way, came from oppressing his own people. Okay? So that's, keep in mind, that's not jump in the context, because what happens is when you say put your own money up, we're going to think how we put our own money up, which is the legal way. He didn't do that. You heard him.
It doesn't matter if someone gave someone a lot of money to watch. That's not a boss, that's a supervisor. And that supervisor usually thinks he's a boss and projects as a boss and will piss someone else off that's putting up the money. So a lot of my frustration would come from the fact that everyone that was speaking, none of them put up the dough. And we put up our own money. We were partners. We had a 50-50 venture. So in that environment, it would frustrate me. It'd be like being at a dice game and someone else speaking on your money. Because usually in corporate, no one's putting up the money. It's public and there's a board. And you know, there's a bunch, one person that's making decisions is using their own dough. I can't talk to people or be nice to people that I don't respect that aren't putting up the money. After I learned in my experience in the corporate world, like I hear people say, never put up your own money. And I'm saying, put your own money up. Work harder than everyone, be patient, and just know that if you're gonna do something on your own, you're gonna have to feel some pain. So like in Vampire Life, you know, we've had a certain amount of success in a very short period of time, and I'm like the little Jewish guy behind it. You know what I mean? Like before, there's always someone from another culture that's behind it, funding. And in Harlem, your whole thing is not to get hit by work. You want to be the connect. You want to put your own dough up. You want to buy your work. And if you fuck it up, you fuck it up. But when you get that, you can pay it and do what you need to do. If you can name someone in the urban business or an urban brand that's owned by an urban person, not to say a person's getting paid a percentage or sweat equity.
So he's back using the crack reference.
Because they're the ambassador or the face of the brand, but are they doing the P&L? Are they doing the production? Are they doing the sales? Are they making sure the bills are paid? Are they paying the staff?
Like, what kind of boss has all those responsibilities? Yeah, the boss is the supervisor. He is the overseer. He puts people in the right place to make you a boss. So when you look at managers at certain companies, and those companies are great at servicing you or delivering your product, the first thing you want to know is, yo, who's your boss? Because you're going to give compliments to the boss like you do the chef. But like, wow, you know, I came to Verizon and service was great. You know, like that's how that works. Like that person is going to get, you know, compliments, accolades. You know, they're going to write, you know, when you get an email to, hey, how was your experience? You're going to write great things. Like that's what a boss does. The boss is responsible for other people and make sure that everybody's doing their job at a successful rate. Bosses don't go taking out the garbage. Bosses don't go doing this and doing that. What kind of boss is that?
Even if the sales didn't ship, the difference with me is I can do all these things because I'm the one that puts up the money. If I feel like making a motor oil, I can make a motor oil.
Putting up your own money. Like, dude, like, yeah, he's real insecure. He's real insecure. Like, any community effort, any family effort is going to be shared. Like, one person doesn't put up the money or you know, do this, do that. If they do, like, they're usually the person in the family that you don't really rock with because they got this control issue where they gotta be in control all the time. Some of us got relatives like that, where they just gotta be in control, and if they're not in control, they're not going.
Or if I want to make a liquor, I can make a liquor. Just because I'm gonna cut out the connect, I know how to get it developed. I know how to get.
But it's connect talk. Like everything is but this is how you think. I don't know if he does. I don't know if he's doing this on purpose, but this is how you see the black community. Like just a bunch of future crack dealers.
I hear people say never put up your own money.
People
And I'm
say
saying
never do that, and we're gonna get to that. That's stupid.
Leor Cohen, Julie Greenwald, Todd Moskowitz, Joey or Joey, whatever. There's a couple, but those I think we should start with them. And whoever hired Joey, I want to know why he got hired from Interscope. And I want to know what that title means, president of Urban, and why another black man should be calling him the president of Urban and asking him what he could do, what he can and cannot do. I think it's very disrespectful, and I think it should change. And I think there should be some social responsibility and some consciousness, and some people should question it. And I don't give a fuck because none of y'all cut my checks. None of y'all. Y'all can't affect none of my business. So I can say all of this. You can't blackball me because you can't hire me. None of y'all use your own money. So stop acting like you have the ability to black.
You use your own money. This is a wild. It's almost like the Umar effect. You know, the savior effect. Like a lot of us try to reinvent the wheel, and usually the uneducated class, the impoverished class, likes that Robin Hood approach, that unorthodox, break all the rules, break all the principles, do it the way nobody else does it way. Like sometimes like the poor, the underprivileged, they kind of crown that person as their king. And that person never delivers them to any type of freedom or success.
I mean, that's not the case. You can't. I blackball you, you know? I'm never gonna hire none of y'all. You're blackballed, all of y'all. So with that said, it's out there. Leor Cohen.
Yeah, I don't see like the ego issues here. Okay, let's go.
You know, in your words, what would you feel like your secret to balling is? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, again, also, you know, I play the game a little different. I'm one that I don't think if you cheat, you win. You know, the win for me isn't the money, it's how you play the game. And sometimes, most of the time, you're playing the game with people that cheat. You understand what I'm saying? So my secret to balling is to not have to cheat, to be 100% independent.
You already said, don't have to cheat. And it's 100% independent thing that he's stuck on. Okay, so it's something going on there. But he said, don't have to cheat. I mean, brother, I look at myself trying to be an entrepreneur, saving my own money. Like he advised, use my own money. But how am I using my own money? I'm saving my own money the legal way. That's going to take time and effort, sacrifice, blood, sweat, and tears. Brother, you're selling crack, and you don't think you're cheating? You don't, comparison to me and us, they got to save our own money, sweat, tears, blood. You don't think by you selling crack, that's cheating to us? You don't believe that's cheating to us? So why they call it fast money? So he used certain words and he kind of disassociates himself from that very thing he's condemning others for.
And to never be told win for me is,
you know what I'm saying?
I mean, again, also, you know, I play the game a little different. I'm one that I don't think if you cheat, you win. You know, the win for me isn't the money, it's how you play the game. And sometimes, most of the time, you're playing the game with people that cheat. You understand what I'm saying? So my secret to balling is to not have to cheat, to be 100% independent, to never be told what to do, and to be able to.
Yeah, he has an issue with like following orders as well, like being told what to do. And now keep in mind, people use that being told what to do as, it could be something simple as suggestion. Like maybe I'm in business with the guy, like Jay-Z and Biggs. I'm like, nah, dang, we shouldn't do that. Or dang, nah, you shouldn't go overseas right now and party with girls on some freak off because, bro, we got to get this deal right here signed. And remember him like being told to do, bro, I got it, yo, relax, I'm out. We good. So that's some of the stories I'm hearing that he did. Like while people are trying to handle business that they all agreed to do, the business that they're in together with each other, he's out somewhere overseas partying while Biggs and Jay-Z is stuck making the real decisions. Then he comes back, right, to America and see changes are already done, and he go ahead and try to fight them. Yo, why don't y'all wait for me? Wait for you to get them partying, vacationing as you please. So like he don't like being told to do, but again, that can be taken as he don't like suggestions, he don't like advice, he don't like none of that stuff. And when you behave like that, you sometimes find yourself owing 8.7 in tax arrears, 140,000 in child support arrears, and a lawsuit at $800,000 for making a movie that you shouldn't have made.
Fund every single thing that I want to do tastefully and never have to ask anyone for a dollar, not a bank, not credit, not nothing. You know what I mean? And that's all I will do. Like every time I start a company and I have to get funding from a corp, I lost. To some people, that's the best thing in the world. To me, I'm devastated, and then that means I got to start all over again. You know what I mean? And each time I've developed certain empires because they were corporately funded. You can pay for something to look big. You know what I mean? Perception is paid for. Period. Anybody could be famous. You could pay for fame.
I'm telling you, this advice is dangerous.
Literally, it's nothing. It's having enough money to get the right publicist.
And you know, in your words, what would you feel like your secret to balling is?
Nah. Hey, Garrett Huff, you might have came in late. He already said he sold crack. His interview with Vlad TV 10 years ago, Vlad said, what was his first entrepreneur like endeavor, job, or whatever, or act, gig? He said selling crack. All right, so out of his own mouth, and then he uses crack analogies. So Garrett, you might have came a little late, but out of the horse's mouth, he said he sold crack, and he uses crack analogies to explain how he put up his own money or how to put up your own money because he sold crack. He got the fast way. So this ain't me. If you rewind it a little bit, and maybe I'll play it again before I end the live, he talked about selling crack. I think he might say it again. But he also said he can't let lanes tell him what to do. Like, what is a lane? Like, the dude just got his own little.
Because a lot of people buy, like that's also another business model. Some people sell their celebrity. So the more famous you are, the more people that see you, the more shit you sell. It doesn't necessarily have to be quality, it's because you're the celebrity. But then there's a model where it's about the quality of your work. That's the model I prefer. I don't like to sell my celebrity, that's cheating to me. You know, I like to sell my quality.
Look at that whole word cheating again. Selling celebrities like what you're supposed to do. But he calls that cheating. Like if you don't sell your celebrity, then you put yourself on the same level as me. So now I'm your competitor. But like I'm guessing you worked hard to be Dame Dash. So why would you stoop down to my level and compete with me with, business? Like you're so big, you're supposed to. I'm not supposed to be a competitor because of where you put yourself and smart moves you did to make yourself Dame Dash. You're supposed to be competing with people on your level or higher. You shouldn't be down there with us. So you're supposed to sell your celebrity. Like, and if I was in business with this guy and we had a sneaker and you don't want to tell people your Dame Dash behind the sneaker, I'll be very pissed. So a lot of his thinking is like very selfish.
At work, often I like to do things without people even knowing it's me. Because again, the balling isn't people buying into how famous I am. It's people buying into the quality and the taste of what I'm doing. It's not about how big or how much money, it's about how cool you are. It's about being tasteful. You can't buy taste. Rich people, the average rich person does not have good taste. You cannot buy taste. And taste is conveniently cheap. You don't have to spend a lot of money to be tasteful. Actually, you don't have to spend any money to be cool because a lot of people buy.
So in my opinion, he's saying a whole bunch of nothing. Like he's trying to sound cool, trying to sound like he has information. He's really not. But people call this like educating youth. Like this is not education. This is misinformation.
Do it. And if I gotta ask somebody for some money, it's definitely not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. I don't like asking anybody for money.
Right, and that's one of the themes that I've noticed about from watching the last interviews.
Yeah, but we like to get, like when we buy a house, you gonna have a mortgage. That means you had to ask for money. So dang, all your houses or your homes are paid off, all your cars paid off, because if you finance, that's asking for money. All right, but did it work? You got this philosophy, but did it work?
And just saying what you said now is independence. Like
I'm from Harlem, man. We're not about not putting up our own money. Like I hear that.
We from Harlem, so now he got this city complex where Harlem, like poor as hell, is gentrified right now. White folks all in Harlem, but he got this thing where a bunch of criminals got like this decorum, this taste, these morals, these mores.
Corporate world, never put up your own money. That is counter what I've been taught for survival.
House independence. Like
I'm trying to hear this very well right now. Look how he tells himself.
You know, we're not about not putting up our own money. Like I hear in the corporate world, never put up your own money. That is counter what I've been taught for survival.
So now he said that's been counter what I've been taught for survival. Are we talking about business survival? Or are we talking about like street survival? Like, so I'm like confused. Like, you talking about for your businesses to survive, you were taught counter? Nobody taught you in the business world, in the business landscape, to not borrow money. Nobody taught you that. Like, what book referenced that? Like, I would love for you to cite that book, which he did not do. So what survival are you talking about that you were taught counter not to go get a loan or somebody else's money? Let's see if he tells that.
Because I know the minute that someone puts up the money, I got to answer to them. If I don't pay them, they can feel like they can do something to me or tell me what to do.
That's back street stuff. So you hear this guy saying, this is back to the crack game. That's the only game where you use somebody else's money and you mess it up and they want to do something to you, like physically. So he's referencing, that's what he said, survival. So he's going back to the streets. So he's using his business model, the do's and don'ts, based on the savageness in the streets. So like he's referencing like business in the streets, and he's telling you the way business is done in the streets. Those same rules and do's and don'ts apply to business and mainstream. Like that's what he has to be saying because they don't correlate.
In Harlem, we don't do that. We cut everybody. We always want to get to the connect. You know what I'm saying? It's just not the Harlem way. You know what I mean? So
the connect. So it's back the crack game. This is the guy that everybody was championing behind, crowned as the king. When he says business boss, like we're thinking about our businesses and our status in these businesses, right? In these companies. That's not what he's referencing. He's referencing the crack business and the pecking order in that.
It doesn't make sense to be told what to do. It's just, it doesn't make sense ever to be in a position where someone could tell me what I gotta do, when I gotta, it's not in my realm of imagination. I'd love to find a boss, someone that's worthy of telling me what to do. I would love to do that, to learn from someone that could be my boss. Do it. And if I gotta ask
here we go.
Having the ability, like I just never think anyone that's trying to, give the money, they're not smarter than me. I can't just let a lame tell me what to do.
Okay, so now he's the smartest person in the room. That's mistake number one. And he can't let a lame tell him what to do. Brother, what is a lame? In Dame's world, what is a lame that you can't let them tell you what to do? What is a lame?
Just because he's giving, like some people will get into business with someone just so they can say they told that person what to do. You know what I'm saying? Like I've seen some people that perception-wise are very strong, act very different when there's a guy around that can fund their dream. Having the ability,
I can't tell me this is stupidity. This is madness. Like, and some of you guys probably shocked that he's actually saying this based upon the perception you had of him before this live right now. A lame can't tell him. What is a lame? All right, so now let's go into, is it okay to use somebody else's money in business?
These guys are not capitalists. They work
All right,
for
so
money.
if you don't know who is talking, this is Robert Kiyosaki, the author of Rich Dad Poor Dad. The guys who speak about business and give business advice to many Fortune 500s and less than whatever companies throughout the world. I don't think anybody is invited to speak to companies more than this guy on how to become profitable or more profitable.
And they invest their own money. On the B and the I side is my rich dad side. That's the capitalist side. Capitalists use other people's labor and other people's money.
Capitalists use other people's labor and money to get rich.
Capitalists, they work for money.
And by the way, when you say capitalists, that's all of us. That's all of us in business. We're all capitalists. We don't make money and distribute it evenly to people who didn't help make the money. So we're all capitalists.
They invest their own money. On the B and the I side is my rich dad side. That's the capitalist side. Capitalists use capitalists. They work for money and they invest their own money.
He said the people who are not capitalists. It means not doing business right. They work for money and they invest their own money. You heard Dame Dash say that.
On the B and the I side is my rich dad side. That's the capitalist side. Capitalists use other people's labor and other people's money to get rich. Which side do you want to be on? I'd rather be on the capitalist side. So that's the only difference. It's a whole shift of mindset and education, but everybody can do it if you want to do it. These guys are not capitalists. They work for money and they invest their own money. On the B and the I side is my rich dad side. That's the capitalist side. Capitalists use other people's labor and other people's money to.
And that's almost every financial book you're going to buy. It's going to suggest you use other people's money and other people's labor. Okay? You want to buy a financial book, learn financial literacy. That's what those books going to recommend and suggest. Okay? So for Dame to do it his own way is because he's talking about the crack business. And maybe the crack business, you don't use other people's money and other people's labor because like Dame said, because they'll hurt you. But that's not how it works in corporate America, though. So maybe Dame needs to be clear in what he's speaking about when he say be a boss and I put up my own money. Like he need to be, well, he is clear on certain podcasts, but he's not clear on all. He definitely was not clear on the Breakfast Club. So, but he needs to be clear and say, hey, DJ Envy, I'm talking about selling crack, bro. I'm not talking about what you do at your job or what your boss does. I'm talking about selling crack, the drug game. And I bet you they would have fell back and not give him no more lip. Oh, they'd be like, oh, okay, cool. So, okay, so that makes sense. Selling crack, you're right. Okay, in that case, yeah, selling crack. Okay, fine, you might be right. They wouldn't even argue had he made it clear he's talking about selling crack.
If you look at Africa Bambaataa, they were dressing more like Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yes.
Like a lot of costumes.
This is Steve Stout. This is somebody who wars with, go back and forth, but Dame Dash, like they fell out at some point and they don't really like each other too much. I don't know who's right, who's wrong, but they usually have strong words for each other when they speak about each other. But anyway, he was on Club Shay Shay and he's giving his breakdown of like the beginnings of rap. This is important, I believe, because we talk about the rap industry and IBM might say, hey man, you know, the culture vultures, what they're doing, the people who run rap, they're steering the rap culture. They're like purposely steering this good wave of music to bad. Like they're influencing people who have positive raps to start rapping negatively. So Steve Stout, who's in the record industry for a long, long time, is going to explain it a little differently.
Yes.
And then Run DMC, because of God bless, Jam Master Jay said, let's dress like those D-boys.
Right.
Okay, so Run DMC, Jam Master Jay said, we don't want to look like African Bambaataa with the costumes. We want to look like the D-boys, the dope boys, the drug dealers, the people who sell crack like Dame Dash. They want to look like them. So this ain't some white record producer say, hey guys, dress like this. This is the way you do it. This is what they wanted to do because they were low-key like Dame Dash, influenced by the crack dealers, the coke dealers.
They dress like the way street guys dress, drug dealers would dress. And when they put,
you heard them, street dealers, drug dealers. They want to dress the way drug dealers and street guys dress.
That look on, get Africa Bambaataa. They were dressing more like Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yes.
Like a lot of costumes.
Yes.
And then Run DMC, because of God bless, Jam Master Jay said, let's dress like those D-boys.
Right.
So they dress like the way street guys dress, drug dealers would dress. And when they put that look on,
with the
Kango, shell toe, leather, blazer, this, that, and the third, then they looked like they was just getting that money.
Right.
It wasn't about that costume. It was a complete left turn from what those guys are doing, and that was huge.
Yeah.
If you look at Africa,
that was huge. Like it's something with our culture where we're obsessed. It almost seems like naturally we're obsessed with the drug culture. And look at us now. Like we just won't go away from it. So did our oppressors know something about us that we know about ourselves? Or are they just giving us what we want? Is it supply and demand when it comes to black folks and drugs and liquor?
About D-boys and rap and D-boys that seem to be so interwoven?
Well, the kids come from, the artists are coming from the street. So as a result of the artists coming from the street, the guys that are around them and the guys they idolize, they probably at some point worked for,
Right.
were the street guys. And sometimes the street guys were the first guys to give them money. It was the startup money.
Right.
You know, go make this music, go into the studio, what have you. And that's a lot what led to, you know, what got them going. So that's the connection. But the truth of the matter is, even prior to the fact that that was the guys they looked up to and gave them money, that's what the fans wanted.
Right.
So you
the
were
fans wanted this drug alcohol culture. Wait a minute. I thought the government, you know, the Illuminati was putting liquor stores and dropping down guns and crack in the neighborhoods, and we're just so oppressed. We just East out believes this is supply and demand. Like we're demanding this be supplied to us.
The street guy. So the fact that that was the guys they looked up to and gave them
We look
money.
up to these guys. Think about Snoop Dogg and Ice T, and especially like Pimp C. Like these guys, but going back before them, like these guys pushed the pimp cup. And you got many people in the urban communities, but a lot of us, what's appealing to us are the pimps and the dope dealers. East Coast, it was pimp. East Coast, it was the dope dealers, and I'm guessing out west somewhere, it was the pimps. But it's always the negative, illegal detriments to our society that we look up to and emulate and put on the screen and, you know, show it to the world. Like, hey, this is what we like. So then the culture vulture is like, okay, we can get you that for the low.
That's what the fans wanted.
Right.
So you were emulating the street guy. So a lot of these guys, very few of them really are street guys, rappers. They were more emulating street guys because that worked with the fans.
So the street guys worked with the fans who were not in the streets, the fans who were not pimps. We wanted to be entertained by rappers who were, you could say, minstrels. Like we wanted the minstrel show, like kind of like how white folks did it. That's weird. White folks wanted the minstrel shows. Like they wanted they wanted white people to paint themselves. Well, no. They were entertained by white people dressed up like black folks and fitting all the stereotypes. It looked like at some point we wanted that for ourselves too. We wanted our rappers to become minstrels. We wanted our rappers to emulate the stereotype black person, the pimps, you know, black exploitation. Like we wanted the rappers to keep that going.
Few of them really, the fact that that was the guys they looked up to and gave them money, that's what the fans wanted.
Right.
So you were emulating the street guy. So a lot of these guys, very few of them really are street guys, rappers. They were more emulating street guys because that worked with the fans.
How have you?
All right. You hear it for yourself.
Very few of them really are street guys, rappers. They were more emulating street guys because that worked with the fans. Very few of them really are street guys, rappers. They were more
So now
emulating street guys because
this notion you got to put up your own money, right? That's philosophy. But again, it's backed by how business is done in the streets. Okay, that business model is based on how you sell crack. Well, let's go into the corporate world. Personal loans versus business loans.
Here's why you'd want to use a business loan and leverage your existing business and not use a personal loan.
Number one, business loan, that means somebody else's money. That's not your own money, Dane. So he's saying the reason why people will rather use somebody else's money as opposed to use their own money is for this reason.
Most people do not realize this. Whatever a personal loan, whether it's personal credit cards or a straight up personal loan, you cannot write off the interest on a personal loan.
Oh, that's why you owe $8.6 million, my boy. You couldn't write off none of that stuff, stupid.
period. So on a business loan, you can. All that interest, you can write it off. It's all tax deductible. So it's really great. A personal loan report.
But using your own money is not tax deductible. So you need to pay all that.
To your personal credit. So if you're the interest on a personal loan.
This number 2 is very important. Very, very important when you use your own money in business, how bad it is.
Period. So on a business loan, you can. All that interest, you can write it off. It's all tax deductible. So it's really great. A personal loan reports to your personal credit. So if you're, taking out a pure personal loan, leveraging your personal credit, your personal loan is going to be on there. If you're maxing out your credit cards, 1, you can't write off all that interest, but 2, you're really maxing out your credit. And usually if you're not paying that down very quickly or right away, it will actually bring your credit score down.
And it comes off bad credit, and therefore, Dane, you can't put your own money up because they're going to run a credit check on you, and it's going to look bad. It's going to look like you got a 400 credit score because you got your money working for you. Okay, so it's working and it's being used. Your credit's being used, so it looks like you owe, right? It looks bad, so it brings your personal credit to 400, 500, or low 600. So therefore, putting your money on something else, they're going to deny you. They're going to say your credit's too low. That's what happens. That's what he's explaining. When you use your own money, it affects your personal credit. When you use business credit, it does not affect your personal credit. It affects your business credit, but it doesn't work the same. I think he's going to explain that.
And it really hurts your DTI, your debt to income ratio. So if you're going to go purchase a car or a home and you've got all this personal debt stack, here's why you'd want to use a business loan and leverage your existing business and not use a personal loan. Number 1, most people do not realize this. Whatever a personal loan, whether it's personal credit cards or a straight up personal loan, you cannot write off the interest on a personal loan, period. So on a business loan, you can. All that interest, you can write it off. It's all tax deductible. So it's really great. A personal loan reports to your personal credit. So if you're, taking out a pure personal loan, leveraging your personal credit, your personal loan is going to be on there. If you're maxing out your credit cards, 1, you can't write off all that interest, but 2, you're really maxing out your credit. And usually if you're not paying that down very quickly or right away, it will actually bring your credit score down. And it really hurts your DTI, your debt to income ratio. So if you're going to go purchase a car or a home and you've got all this personal debt stack, here's why.
So breaking news for Dane Dash. If he's truly in business, that means he has somebody doing his taxes. And the person doing your taxes is not a regular tax guy like Tax John because you're making too much money. They don't really do all that. Okay, so you're going to hire a CPA, certified public accountant. You're going to hire those people. And when you hire those people, they don't only do your taxes, but they attempt to tell you what to do, which Dame hate. Those are lames. Lames can't tell them what to do. So your CPA, when they see you doing bad business and when they believe they can help you out, save some money, they're going to suggest or refer certain things you should do and things you shouldn't do. But Dame Dash called them lames. Remember, he don't listen to people. He does it his way. So those CPAs is saying, nah, like you hired me, you're in my best interest. And he's arguing with them and he probably fired them. That's why he owes so much money in back taxes, $8.7 million. Okay, he don't listen to people who have bosses.
Else outside of your business. So on the business loan side, as I mentioned, 1, any interest origination fees.
So you explained the bad side of using personal debt, right? Personal loans, personal money. Okay, it's going to bring down your personal credit, and your credit looks so low that you can't buy anything else because a lot of things you can't buy with cash. Okay, so that's out. So because your personal credit is working and it's being brought low, it limits what you can do with your cash, your own money, Dane. So now here's the benefits on the other side of other people's money, the business loan.
All of that stuff is tax that can really work against you when you're going to buy something else outside of your business. So on the business loan side, as I mentioned, 1, any interest, origination fees, all of that stuff is tax deductible. The second thing is business loans usually do not report to your personal credit, which is great. And even business credit cards don't report to your personal credit. So as you start your business and your business gets going, you really want to leverage your business and keep it all with your business. The other thing is that by taking out a business loan, some business loans actually report to your business credit. All business credit cards report to your business credit. And that's actually a good thing because you want to build your business credit. So by having it report there can only help you to build long-term relationships with other lenders or access other types of financing or credit for your business, whether it's credit with a vendor, whether it's a larger credit card, or whether it's taking out larger amounts of financing or even working with the bank down the line. You know, I tell people all the time that great businesses are built on relationships, and it's all types of relationships.
So what he's speaking about is what Dame's CPA would be telling him. Okay, why you should not use your own money and why you should use business credit. Okay, so this is what he's telling us and his viewers. That's what Dame Dash CPA would be telling him if he had one, if you didn't let him go or fire him, and use his boy to do his taxes. Because it almost looked like, I think I'm gonna play a video where Dame said he got in a tax problem because people who supposed to look over his taxes didn't do the job correctly. So it looks like he probably didn't hire a CPA, certified public accountants. It looked like he probably had his boy do it, or one of his girlfriends do it, and they didn't know what they were doing. Okay, I guarantee you something like that happened. Because what he's saying is what a CPA would tell a business owner.
Else, outside.
All right, so if that guy is too much of a lane for Dame to listen to, well, here's Elon Musk.
The other thing I'd say is that if you're creating a company or if you're joining a company, the most important thing is to attract great people. So either join a group that's amazing, that you really respect, or if you're building a company, you've got to gather great people.
Well, great people will be the people Dame Dash originally surround himself with, the Biggs, the Jay-Z, and his people from Def Jam, wherever record labels. Those are the people he surrounded himself with. So he did good. But then at some point, he blew those relationships. Well, he's not with Biggs. He's not with Jay-Z. He's not with those record execs. So he clearly, something happened.
Is a group of people that have gathered together to create a product or service. And so depending upon how talented and hardworking that group is, and the degree to which they are focused cohesively in a good direction, that will determine the success.
So you hear how he spoke of the group as the collective, as the one unit? That's not Dame Dash. Dame Dash want to be the boss. He doesn't like a collective decision. He wants to make the final decision or the only decision. So he's anti this advice that Elon Musk is giving. I think Elon Musk got something else to say.
Then I'd say focus on signal over noise. A lot of companies get confused. They spend money on things that don't actually make the product better. So, for example,
they spend money on things that does not make the product better.
Tesla, we've never spent any money on advertising. Get confused. They spend money on things that don't actually make the product better. So, for example, at Tesla, we've never spent any money on advertising. We put all of the money into R&D and manufacturing and design.
R&D is research and development. If you don't know, like that's a term used in like production companies or manufacturing companies. R&D is research and development.
Make the car as so. For example, at Tesla, we've never spent any money on advertising. We put all of the money into R&D and manufacturing and design.
No, he said we put the money. He didn't say I. That's Dame Dash. He says I put the money. He says we.
To try to make the car as good as possible. And I think that's the way to go. So for any given company, just keep thinking about, are these efforts that people are expending, are they resulting in a better product or service? And if they're not, stop those efforts.
All right. All right, so now let's go back to Dame Dash.
Like, that's why I'm bugging, because I'm like, they don't see that. If we get together, if we all just come together and put our content, now we have our own YouTube.
But this is named as now. Okay, so now he's talking about the we. He's talking about the collective again. He's talking about inviting these people back into his circle. Okay.
We have our own Tubi. We have our own Netflix. And I'm the warden. No weirdo shit.
I'm the warden. It's always him. He has to be in charge. You see the problem here? And that was Jay Morrison. Well, he had many more problems, but when he botched the Tulsa Academy, whatever that was called, people was like, okay, because he's now asking for more donations. And it was like, hey, well, we might donate again. We understood, you had too much on your shoulders, but would you consider stepping down? Like before we invest again, would you consider stepping down? Let's Mouse, leave this ship, and because we like the dream. So let's Mouse steer this ship. You tried, you failed, and let's Mouse steer it. And he would not say, yeah. So like this guy had a dream, but it mattered who steered the dream for Jay Morrison. I mean, dude, if it's successful, you still get the credit. It's your dream, no matter who drives it to reality. But Jay Morrison, he could not let the dream. He could not give up control of the dream. And that seems to be Umar Johnson's problem. Like, they cannot let go of the dream. And people who really believe the dream is helpful to others, they really don't mind Smiles bringing it to the end game. They just care that it worked, right? People got helped. Not these guys. The Dames, the Jay Morrison, the Umar, they want all the credit. My dream, I want the credit. I want my name on the hot air balloon.
No dark shit, no hating, no petty. Come together and put our content. Now we have our own YouTube. We have our own Tubi. We have our own Netflix. And I'm the warden. No weirdo shit. No dark shit, no hating, no petty. You know what you get. I might yell, I might snap. And
see? And that's why nobody wants to be around him. Because don't bosses, when they have workers, don't they got to control that? Because they're going to leave and you're by yourself doing the work. The point of being a boss is to be the overseer, and you're not really physical anymore. You're not really hands-on like that. You just make sure that the people that are hands-on in a productive manner. But you're too busy because you want to start other companies going. So if you're hands-on, you can't have a company in Texas and one in New Jersey. You're stuck to just one of them, Texas or New Jersey. But if you're the overseer and you got the right people in place, like Elon Musk said, then you can reside in Japan and oversee everybody and make sure things are running like most successful companies, most Fortune 500 companies, CEOs do.
I'm going to spend all my money. You already know that's what I'm going to do on my creative ideas or any money that I have.
But he's still bragging about spending all his money. This dude, 90 years old, his ideas on Breakfast Club and Vlad 10 years earlier, are proved to be failures and wrong and against all financial expert advice, okay? But he's still talking about making that same mistake over as he invite people back into a circle. It's like, yo, are you serious?
These are my faults.
Yeah, they definitely are. Okay, and they shouldn't be. You should learn from your mistakes.
She wasn't signed?
No, she was independent. She was straight independent.
Straight book. Here goes this misinformation, independent talk. Okay, so they're bragging about Young Ma being independent on her music or whatever she did, and they're acting like, oh my gosh, she did it the right way. So Matt Hoffa is like, I mean, yeah, it worked to a degree, but that don't mean that. So whatever success she had, just because she was independent doesn't mean she ran into her ceiling. He's saying, what if because she was independent, she never reached close to her ceiling? Had she did the orthodox way, the traditional way, got with a record label like Future, like Drake, like all the other Kanye, all the more successful rappers, Lil Wayne, had Eminem, she did it that way, she would be on their level. That's kind of what he was just saying. Like, the reason why she's not there and never will be there is because she's independent. Sometimes some ideas and dreams you have, they do call for independence to receive the max out of it, right? The max ability out of it, max effort out of it. But sometimes your dreams and efforts has to be given to somebody else and they materialize it for you. That's just the reality.
Ever got independent? Straight red light.
Straight Brooklyn.
And they always say the independent money is better than all the other
It was. She got to do the
always says
24.
that.
I like that part. He said they always say the independent money is better than the industry money. And he said, who always says that? What are you talking about?
Independent. She was straight independent.
Straight Brooklyn.
Never ever got independent. Straight red light.
Straight Brooklyn.
And they always say the independent money is better than all the other
It was.
money.
She got to do the
always says
24.
that. I mean, every artist done said that.
Labels
Look,
is tough.
Every artist can say that. And this is the absolute claim that you guys say I can't do. And this guy in the red hat, straight clown. Like, I don't think he's been in that show very much longer.
Independent money is better.
Could...
Yeah, they say that, and they get it. These artists that you name, Master P and Cash Money, they get into it for the distribution.
Mm-hmm.
So these distribution companies reach spaces in the country that they normally can't reach.
She wasn't signed?
No, she.
Just stupid, bad information. And he's been kicking bad information that whole entire segment. All right, let's move on. But I like how Mav checked him. He said, what artist says that? Like, the independent money is better than, the industry money. Like, stop. All right, I'm going to close out with Dame Dash. The interview that brought it all where it's at now.
Fact, we're taking it back so everybody could eat. Movies, radio, books, everything, fashion, everything. And when we have it, no one's gonna have a boss. Everyone's gonna be a boss.
Kings and queens philosophy. Everybody be a boss. And how are you a boss with no workers? How are you a king and queen with no servants? Like, come on, just stupid talk. Everybody gonna be boss. Okay.
Period.
Are there times in business you feel like you haven't been honorable and fair?
Never.
That you can, I mean, people do make mistakes because we're human.
This is a crazy dude, man.
Usually it's over money that people have.
No, it don't be over no money. Because if it was over money, how much money? What's money to you? It's all relative.
To me? Yeah, I mean, it's all relative, but
it's
sometimes.
Okay, now, keep in mind, he owes $145,000 in child support. Okay, and he's asking Angela Yee, it's $100,000 money to her.
It's money.
Not to me.
But you can't do.
So the guy who owes right now $145,000 child support, telling you 10 years ago, money, $100,000, no money to him. Just wow.
Don't disrespect me and say I do everything everybody else does. And I put up my own money. All these so-called moguls y'all talking about, you name one of them that put their own dough up.
None of them did because that's stupid. Okay? That's why I played those videos. It's stupid to do that. There's no tax incentives. That's why you owe so much. There's no financial advantage to put your own money up. That's why nobody can name one. That's why nobody will name one. Just like when Umar says, which principal did this? Well, I got some stuff for Umar. Oh, wait till I do a live on that one. Ah, damn. Got stuff on him. Y'all gonna see him way different. Lose respect for that guy. Because he might be lying about everything. Even his doctorate.
A boss, you're only the boss if you put up your own money.
Are you serious? Like, if I go get a bank loan for $75,000 and I start a rental car service, I didn't put my money up, but I'm the boss of it. Like, nobody can come down. Even people who I borrowed the money from can't tell me how to legally run my rental car service. I decide everything. I decide if it's successful. I decide if it's a failure. What is this guy talking about? Misinformation is bad information, and it's damaging to any society.
If you don't put up your own money, I don't care how much somebody gives you, you're nothing but a supervisor. It's not yours. So how much money can you get paid to not? There's no money in this world for someone to pay me so they could call me, so I could call them a boss. That's like calling somebody daddy.
But now, like, look where he's bringing now. So he got to really make people feel bad about calling their boss boss. Now it's calling their boss daddy. Like, they're going to give it a slave correlation. This dude is wild, man. Like, but he's your average pseudo. He's your average quack. No different than or a scammer, no different than the Jay Moores, the Brother Polites, all those guys. He's right along with them. He's just doing it a different way.
How can a man call another man, yo, that's my boss? We don't do that.
I mean, everybody at some point has to have a boss, right?
No, not in Harlem.
So now he's back to his retarded conclusion. Harlem, the city where he's from, is just so real. By the way, it's completely gentrified now. But Harlem, they don't do that. They don't call people bosses. But remember, this is coming from a self-admitting crack dealer. Like, we don't have bosses. When we sell crack, we don't have bosses. Remember, that's where this all stemmed from. It stemmed from him selling crack, and he didn't have a boss that's selling crack.
Okay, put it like this.
Because you're somebody's boss.
No, I'm not somebody's boss. I'm. When I was in the street, it wasn't.
So remember, I started the live off by showing him, tell how he started, how it start happening. He was a crack dealer. He put his own money up from fast money, illegal money. Okay, tax-free money. Now we're ending it with him giving you back the street remembrance. Like, he's giving you back how he became a boss in the streets by selling crack. Charlemagne said, hey man, you were somebody's boss, or you had a boss, and he goes back to show you how he wasn't somebody's boss and how somebody wasn't his boss by the street crack analogy, or his history.
One wasn't your boss. We don't do that.
I mean, everybody at some point has to have a boss, right?
No, not in Harlem. Oh, okay. Put it like this.
Because you're somebody's boss.
No, I'm not somebody's boss. I'm. When I was in the street, someone wasn't your boss. They gave you an opportunity.
Okay.
They gave you some work. You go make it, and then you bring it back. You can go buy your own work. You do whatever you want. It's called consignment.
So why this can't be all work? This corporate America, we could be using
you don't
this.
own it.
But
I'm telling you. No, I'm telling you why. I'm telling you why. Question. Let me answer your question.
So the guy we took serious 10 years ago made a fool of us. He kept bringing it back to selling crack. So his point about bosses and your own boss and your own money, his point can only be made by giving you the crack selling analogy. That's wild.
I didn't take. Wait, stop! Don't say you're speaking my business and you don't know what you're talking about. I ain't take no money from Def Jam. What you talking about?
You heard him. He said, "I didn't take no money from Def Jam." Please note that I took no money from Def Jam.
Hey, I mean, they cut you a check.
No, they didn't cut me a check.
And they didn't cut him a check. Okay, so I took no money from Def Jam, and they didn't cut me a check. So now he said this right before our own eyes and ears.
Had a formula based on performance, and they calculated, and we got paid.
Wait. They calculated. I thought bosses are part of the calculation, but he said they calculated. He said we got paid. Dame, who paid you? Dame, the check had to go. The money went to somebody's bank account. Dame, the money went to somebody's bank account. Somebody had to cut the check. He started off by saying they didn't pay him and they didn't cut the check, but then he skips and leaves out some crucial information. He said they calculated. He didn't say we calculated. He said they calculated. Okay, so what kind of boss are you? You're not in the calculation part, right? You're not in that equation. And then you said we got paid, brother. How you get paid? Who paid y'all? Who money was the bank? Who money was the bank count in? And who cut the check? What business cut the check? What entity? What person cut the check? Was it you? It wasn't you. So you lied and said they didn't pay you. Then you said they didn't cut the check. They did both.
That's not us.
That's what we doing.
No. We listen. Before we had Rockefeller. We put up our own money for Rockefeller, right?
Okay.
Then we sold half of it. We became partners. So that means no one gave us anything. We were 50-50 partners. We built something and sold it. That doesn't mean you work for somebody. See, they let you believe that. So then what happened was, based on a formula. You want to know what a formula is? It was profit times a certain number. So if you make this much profit times 7, that's how much your number is.
Okay.
Based on that formula, they bought the rest. That's it. That's not nobody giving me money. I never worked for them. I put up way more money than.
He didn't say somebody gave you money. He said somebody paid you and somebody cut the check. It doesn't. So nobody gave you free money. It was well earned. But his point was somebody paid you And his original point was somebody paid you and somebody cut the check, and you said they didn't do either, just to come back and say they did that. And then you changed it by saying nobody gave you money. That was never the argument. The argument was never somebody gave you money for nothing. That was never the point that he was making.
Def Jam put up. Me, Biggs, and Jay put way more money up into Def Jam. I mean, rather into. I didn't take. Stop! Don't say you're speaking my business and you don't know what you're talking about. I ain't take no money from Def.
I ain't take no money from Def Jam. Watch this.
Jam, what you talking about?
I mean they cut you a check.
No, they didn't cut me a check. We had.
You see, and they did. Right. So he was wrong on both arguments. So we're closing out.
Work. Would you ever enjoy being a slave?
It's not a slave. This is what I enjoy.
I don't think this is slavery, Dan.
Do you have to come to work today? Do you have a choice?
But now look how extreme he goes. Because he compared people work clocking in, clocking out as slavery, like a plantation. This is what we're doing now. All this is to show how you must be your own boss, which is you must sell crack.
You have to ask somebody when you have to. Yes, you do.
I don't.
Or you're fired. Can somebody tell you you fired?
I don't.
Can somebody tell you fired? Yes or no? Can another man say you're fired?
Absolutely.
No one can tell me that. And that's priceless to me.
But I'm here. But it doesn't matter. Like, okay, it doesn't matter if somebody say you're fired or somebody say I'm no longer doing business with you. The result's the same. You're not making any more money. Okay? So if DJ Envy got fired from the Breakfast Club, he's not making any money with them. Okay, but if he was in a 50-50 deal like you with them and they said, okay, we're no longer doing business with you, what's the difference? He's no longer making money with the Breakfast Club, whether you with a 50-50 split or whether he's working for them. Once they say you're fired or I'm done with you, you're not getting more money from them. So it's just like word salad with this guy, man. It's just like he's stuck on words and terms. Like that bothers him rather than the end result.
I don't care. You enjoy having a man be able to tell you you fired? But you enjoy. Okay, let me ask you a question. So you being selfish. Do you think your son enjoys you calling somebody else a boss? Don't you think your son would rather?
You hear this crazy ass argument. Like your kids are happy that you're able to provide for them when they need it. And sometimes when they don't need it. You think they care? And who comes home and say, hey kids, my boss. Like, what are you talking about? And if you did do that, your kids gonna say, "Mama, you got a boss." Like they understand the hierarchy in life. They're not delusional like him and his kids.
Wake up with you, and you can pick them up from school instead of having to do a 9 to 5. Don't you think? Yeah, all right, but don't you have to wake up?
And by the way, the CEO for Starbucks, the 9 to 5 guy, he makes $113 million a year. Okay, he makes more than every athlete yearly. Every athlete in the world. By their contracts, he makes more than double than every superstar athlete in the world. Okay, I'm talking about they're without the endorsement. Their regular contract that they're playing the sport for, the CEO of Starbucks makes more than double than every athlete in the world. You know, I think the highest contract like $50 million a year. He makes $113 million a year, and he's a worker. He has a boss. Or he has people, he's a CEO, so he has people who can tell him he's fired. Let's say that. People can tell him to get out. You're done.
It's 4 a.m. Don't you think your son would love if his name was up there? Dash, or whatever your last name is instead of somebody else's? My pride is in my children. Like, look what I'm doing right now. Look at my son. I taught my son never to have a boss. He's 23.
Now, he act like they're manufacturing cars like Elon Musk. This guy got cookies in his hand.
He owns a restaurant. He has cookies. He has equity. He busts his ass so he can pass it. Work. Would you ever enjoy being a slave?
All right, we're winding down. Okay, here we go.
All right, my kids take pride in.
Finally, we're getting to what this is the last video, and finally we're getting to where all this really comes from. Why he's so mad at people being his bosses. Look, he actually tells himself during the same interview with the Breakfast Club. We just heard pockets and what we wanted to hear, and we shut our brains to what he was actually admitting to. Listen to this.
Like that, I have Dash Motors, and because I have that, my son said I'm not going to ever have a boss. His mentality is different. It's just about changing mentality.
Listen to me. Here we go.
Now let me ask you a question. There's millions of people out there that don't have that opportunity, and
They all have the opportunity.
He said we all have the opportunity. This guy's sick.
Okay. So you basically saying because they have a boss, there's no pride in it?
I think because people on the radio tell people it's okay to have a boss, they don't understand that they can have more. And because of the direct-to-consumer relationship, the internet, there's no excuse. So when I make a movie like Losades, I don't have to ask if I could put Daniel in a movie. I just do it. I
Yeah,
had
but guess
to
what?
ask.
Nobody heard that movie. Watch this. Hold on. Now, the movie he said he didn't have to. Okay, so keep in mind the movie he said that he didn't have to ask to put people in. We've never watched and we never heard of it. But look at the movie where he had to ask, can people come play a role in that? We all heard of it. Watch this. Hold on.
If I could put, wait, hold on. I had that relationship, the internet. There's no excuse. So when I make a movie like Losades, I don't have to ask if I could put Daniel in a movie. I just do it. I had to ask if I could put, wait, hold on. I had to ask if I could put Cameron.
Guess what? We all heard of it, and it was a blockbuster movie. You had to ask for Daniel in your personal movie. We never heard of that. So you see, sometimes for your vision to be manifested before the world, sometimes you need help and you need to ask people, or you need to ask for money. There's no shame in that. But then you can say, I don't want to ask anybody. You could take his approach. I don't want to ask anybody. I don't want to boss. I don't want to borrow someone else's money. And then you still use your own efforts, and nobody knows about those efforts. Nobody watched the movie. The movie didn't make any money. You probably broke even, or you probably owe money. So, like, was it really worth it? Was it really worth putting your own money up? Like, and that's what it really comes down to. It really comes down to, did it work? There's many methods to do stuff, but you're supposed to go with the winning method. And when you go with your own method, whatever choice you make, all we want to know is, did it work?
I don't have to ask no more. You understand? There's pride in that. There's just a pride you should have in ownership.
So how do you get to that platform? How do you get to the platform?
By putting your own money up and investing in yourself. That's it. You flip. And getting a good woman, and stop trusting dudes, and stop worrying about other people's pockets and what other pride. My kids take pride in the fact.
That's pretty much it. Laptop is on iPad's on 8%. So that's pretty much it. The guy is superficial. He's extreme, like most of these guys are. And a lot of them are like, you can't work with them. You can look at the Jay Morrisons, look at the Brother Polites, you look at the Umar Johnson. You can see that they never really keep people around them, the same people around them. And they're hard to persuade. They're hard to suggest good ideas to. They want all the credit. They want to do it all themselves. They want to be a quote unquote boss. And all of them either failed miserably, or they were unsuccessful, where they never even got things going, like the school Umar Johnson got. But if you know Jay Morrison ending story, he failed miserably, and look where Polite's at. So, but this is, I could name probably 100 more people that had the same fate. Either their dreams just don't manifest at all, or their dreams manifest because they lied and scammed so many people that it comes down crashing anyway. So the moral to the story is, like, there's nothing new under the sun. There's no new way. Sometimes you just got to go with the proven methods, right? There's something called proof of concept for a reason. You go with the proven concept. The proven concept in business, if you want your business to grow, right, enormously, most likely you're going to need a lot of capital, and most likely you don't have that, and you don't want to use your money anyway, because again, there's no tax incentives to use your own money. and you probably gonna end up like him and everybody else who owe so much money for using their own money. Okay, so 50 Cent had a business, the boxing, SMS boxing, it went bankrupt, he let it go. His personal finances was his personal finances, it didn't touch it. But if you use your personal money, your business go, that's your personal money that went. The business money is the business money. And when you have a business, you pay yourself in the business, that's your money. The money you pay yourself with, that's yours. And the business money is the business money. So when the business owes money, not you, because again, if you're being sued, you're different from the business, right? The business, it's called a veil. Like they got to pick one or the other. Okay, if I have a business and I got my personal account and you're going to sue me, you got to pick one or the other. You cannot be both. Either you're suing me personally or you're suing a business. But you can't sue both. So one of us is going to win. Either me, my personal finance is going to win, or the business funds is going to win. But you got to pick one. You can't sue both. And that's what happens when you have a business. That's the protection you have. It's an asset protection that you have. You got to pick one. You're suing me or the business, but you're not going to do both. Unless you're just really like some Bernie Madoff type guy. All right. So with that, man, I hope this was educational. You might want to play this back. This is great information in here. It wasn't me talking. I'm playing the horse's own mouth, and I'm playing other people and other experts who give contrary advice on how to grow a great business, successful business. So, if you like what you heard, you want to add, you got your own personal experience, personal testimony in the comment section, put it there. If you believe he was wrong or he was right, put it in the comment section. All right. So, and I'm putting together, actually, this motivated me to actually, motivated me to actually do chess a certain way. You dig?